Greetings, fellow humans. Today we're going to be playing OpenTTD, Open Transport Tycoon Deluxe. If you're not familiar with it, it's a great game. It's an old game. It first came out in the 1990s. Ancient, just like my good self. I played this, I think, for the first time as a nipper back in the 90s on an old LNX 386 computer. That's how long I've been playing this game for. That was the original Transport Tycoon back then. Then came Transport Tycoon Deluxe, which allowed one-way train signals. And then many years later, OpenTTD, which has been developed for donkey's years at this point. It's a really good game. With loads of additions. I'm trying to think of another game that I've dipped in and out of as much as this, and there's not many that spring to mind. Stuff like maybe Kerbal Space Program, things like that. But this game is great to just play and then dip out of, dip back into, a couple of years later or whatever, and see what's new. So I'm going to be playing a modded version, an adjusted version of the game. I'm going to play it on quite a difficult sort of premise. We're going to start in 1733, a good 70 odd years before steam trains are a thing. And obviously, as you can see from the title screen here, trains are a big part of it. Obviously, planes and boats too. But yeah, we're going to start pre-steam train, and that's just one of the things that's going to make this game super challenging. So let me show you the settings, and if I go to this option here, what am I looking for? Settings with a different value than the default. There we go. So, there's just some like localization preferences. I like miles per hour, long dates, some sound preferences that bug me, viewports, nothing to do with the game there. But here we go. Accounting. An interest rate of 4% means it's going to be expensive for us to have loans, and we can't have much of a loan either, only 100,000. The subsidy multiplier is down at the lowest option, and the running costs and construction costs are up at the highest option. So we already are going to have a challenging situation because we can't borrow much money. It's expensive to borrow money, it's expensive to run stuff, and it's expensive to build stuff. Furthermore, the physics, the slope steepness I've put at 5% for trains, and the weight multiplier I've put at 5% for freight. So whatever the game tells you the freight is, the physics engine behind this is going to multiply that value by 5 for freight trains. Couple that with the the realistic, more realistic slopes, the more challenging slopes. It's going to take a lot of power to get to even get freight moving on a train, and to get it going uphill, it's going to take even more power. And obviously, we're starting without trains. So interesting. So yeah, I think that's it there. So that's one way in which the game is challenging, the money and the physics behind it. If we go into the NewGRF settings, we can see everything that I've got here. So we've got the FERS industry replacement set, so we've got a much wider range of industry and changes to the supply chains, as it were. Here's some other ways in which things are going to be difficult. The base costs mod I've set to hard. So already the base costs of everything has been adjusted upwards as well. And I'm pretty sure we've got sailing ships NewGRF. Without that, we would really struggle. And here's the sort of key to it: the early rail set and the early rail set 2. Basically, they have all of the really early steam trains, like the Richard Trevithick's engine, things like that. So highly unreliable, highly low power, low speed, but they will be available at a similar sort of time to when they were available in real life, you know, sort of just after the turn of the 19th century. So that's where we're aiming for. The other thing to note on here is the Total Town Replacement Set Early mod. One of the things that does is change the growth rate of the cities in the early game. If you play starting you know, in the 1700s, and you don't have something like that, and you actually manage to get a city growing, or a number of cities growing, then by the time you get up to the normal start time of the game, the 1950s, you know, you're just surrounded by metropolises on every corner. So this slows down the growth rate early doors. But yeah, so that's going to be what we play with there. And then finally, if we go to our new game, let's bump that up a bit. The final things to make it a little difficult. A little difficult. We've gone for the most mountainous of settings, Alpinist. I've gone for a medium distribution and a medium sea level, so there's going to be a lot of water. The number of towns is down as very low, and the number of industries is down as minimal. I have tried these settings with funding only, and I was not able to make a successful company, so minimal here. And there you go, you can see the start date of 1733. Medium number of rivers. Let's generate our area and see what we have to deal with. Okay, lots of trees, and quickly pause the game. All right, I've got the, it was generating lots of trees, but I've got the trees turned off so we can, wow, so we can see just how hilly it is, and, you know, we can see what's going on. Just having a little look around. Yeah, it is a mountainous region. Lots of lakes. Kind of reminds me of the Lake District or the lochs around west coast of Scotland. Is that a little island? Yeah, I thought it was a ship from a distance. Intriguing. Okay. So, well, lots to talk about. First things first, pausing the game. We've got £100,000 in loan and a high interest rate, so we either at all points want to have everything paused or have all our loans that we're not currently using paid off. So actually, I'm just going to control click, there we go, pay off all of the loan. So no money, but also no loan. So that's good. We've got more towns than I was expecting, but we don't seem to have much in the way of industry. And what I'm looking for, first of all, is, well, it's one of three options really. With the constraints that we have, we are constrained by the vehicles that are available to us, and we're constrained by the amount of money we have, and we're constrained by the options we've chosen for the game in terms of like the physics, the horsepower, the weight multiplier, all that sort of stuff means that we can't really do goods routes to begin with via rail. We can't really do any rail route which is going to be uphill. So our options are either a freight route by sea, so potentially a fish route, potentially, yeah, so fishing could be an option. Um, I think there are dredging sites, so we could dredge sand and take that where it's needed, so that's another option. Second option would be finding two towns which are, you know, flat and close to each other, that you could run a straight line wagon way between. That is an option. I mean, yeah, there's a couple of options here. I guess the final option, at a pinch, if you had a freight route where you could take the freight downhill all the way one way, then send the empty carts back up the hill, then I guess we could do that. But that's a difficult option. And here, let me show you. So obviously, in terms of the vehicles that we have available at this point, we don't have aircraft available, obviously. Way too early for that. In terms of ships, we've got the brig. Put them in the brig. That is the brig. Top speed of 12 miles an hour, capacity of 50 crates of goods. It's not great, but it's something. It's all we've got. In terms of road vehicles, yep, nothing. And in terms of trains, horses instead of trains. Horses pulling wagons on little wagon ways. Yeah, for those of you who weren't aware of the history of the horse, designed in 1698 by Sir Gerald Horse. Top speed of 25 miles an hour isn't great, but they wouldn't even hit that anyway with our settings. You know, not if they're pulling anything. Yeah, they're going to struggle to get up to speed. They're going to start out very slow. 8 horsepower. Huh. 1 horse, 8 horsepower. I guess actually there's 2 horses, so they must be buff horses. They have 4 horsepower each. I have the strength of 4 horses. Yeah, okay. So, but yeah, that's what we have available to us, and I'm just looking around to try and work out what would be the best option to begin with. And you know, I'm sort of drawn to this area because ordinarily when you're playing OpenTTD, you know, you're looking to take goods where they need to go, and if you can take it a long distance, nice and quick, that's going to make you the most money. What we have here, however, is a situation where, yeah, everything is going to be going super slow. We're going to max out, I think, at about 12 miles an hour speed-wise. So if the journey is too far, we're not going to make much money at all. We want short, regular income, or else we'll never make the money back on the loan. And we also want not much in the way of infrastructure to begin with. So some of these little routes back and forth, they look like they could be productive. Intriguing. What I'm going to do, first things first, let's have a look at our company name. Yeah, don't particularly like your face, mate. Not a fan. I want someone who looks how I feel. Sort of a bit weary, a bit done with everything. Oof. Look at him. He's got sadness in his eyes. This is during lockdown, by the way, peeps. I'm feeling a little... Okay, let's go with him. I don't mind the pink colour, though. Pink is fine. Let's go pink and white. And then let's give the company a name. Let's call it Patient Transportation. Because Customers are going to need to be patient, just like us. Just going to save the game as well. Okay. So yeah, we got options, and I'm not sure what the best is. Let me just have another look at the running costs of the running cost of the horse versus the ship. Yeah, you've got the cost of the line to take into account as well. That's 971, that's 514. You see, even this route here, that looks pretty good. I am tempted by that. I'm tempted, and I think I'm going to go for it. It doesn't need to be too much even. It can just be, I think we're obviously going to have more at one end than we are at the other, but I think I'm all right with that. Okay, so I'm going to put the operating profit up here so we can keep an eye on that. Above the line good, below the line bad. And yeah, I think with this we might even be able to afford a sort of two-way track. Let's get the money up here. Let's borrow 50 grand and make a start. So I want a two-track. Yeah. How does what do we think? Yeah, let's go from here. Let's see. To here. I'm gonna do. Yeah, that's pretty good. And then, oh wow, that was fortunate. Just gonna have these little crossways here. And I think on the route, let's have one at either side. This is profligate having these things here. These are the depots, because everything's going to cost infrastructure, you know. Let's make these some one-way path signals. Even, you see, even these are going to cost. And they're a bit much, but I can't resist the efficiency. Okay, there we go. Let's then get some vehicles together, and I think we'll go with that many horses. And then what do we think? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Yeah, let's go with that. Go here and full load. That's the bigger end. And go here, and you don't need to full load. And then borrow a little more and clone that train. You know what? I'm going to clone it from here. Clone that train. There we go. And send it the other way first. And just for that first one, I'm going to set that to be a full load, and then I'm going to take it off. But yeah, here hopefully you can begin to see the issue. Look at the speed of that. We're up to 8 miles an hour, and this is the train empty. 9 miles an hour. Oh no, we're topping out at about 8 miles an hour. That's it. That's as fast as this one goes. Interesting. I feel like the fast forward button is going to be our friend here. So Batborn. Yeah, looks like that one's filling up quickly enough. Obviously, the first time through takes a little longer. We come back from Batborn, and yeah, with the passengers, 8 miles an hour. I mean, look at it go on regular speed. Oh my gosh, it's not great, is it? And what I'm going to do, I think, is for train 2, that'll be enough now. Let's remove that full load, any cargo, and have you head off the other way. All right, I'm going to put this on fast forward, and I think we're going to let it run for about a year and see if this is profitable or not. I sincerely hope it is. Yeah, well, the operating profit's gone up. That's good. If we can keep it above that line, then obviously we're doing something right. And if we can start to pay off the loan, then yeah, then we are laughing. We will have broken the back of the game. You know what? It looks like we might be onto a winner, people. There we go. Managed to pay off 10,000. That will just make things easier. Okay, so hopefully you can see. I mean, we've made money on this first route, which is great news. But my gosh, is it ever sort of razor thin margins on stuff? I would say when I play the game with these settings, it's probably about 50-50. You do have to really pick your first business, your first route, really carefully, because if you're not careful, it will either lose money and therefore you're out, or, and this is almost worse, it will make a teeny tiny bit of money that just leaves you limping along, which can mean, you fast forward through the first 30 years of the game, which obviously isn't great. I'm considering what to do next. What I'm wondering is, could this route sustain a third train? Would that make it more profitable or less? Because at the moment, with 40,000 in available loans, we could buy another wagonway train. They're making the money. But we could also, that would be enough for a ship. I think, I'll tell you what, we're going to run this a little more, give ourselves a little more leeway, and then we will consider our second route. Yeah. Oh, lost some there. I guess it kind of depends on how many deliveries you make within. I think each dot on here represents a quarter. So yeah, the horses are starting to break down, which is why I did the depot each way, so that hopefully that wouldn't happen so much. But yeah, I mean, overall we have worse quarters, we have better quarters, but overall we are making money. Okay. Yeah, I mean, look, in 1734 we made 4 grand in total across the entire year. Wow, and in 1735 we made £1.5 grand. So, I mean, that's that's crazy. So we've got about 43,000. I'm just going to see if that will be enough to set us up a shipping route. You know what? I think with what we've invested in here and the amount of passengers waiting and the length of time it takes us to go from one side to the other, I think a third train could be in order. So I am going to buy a third train. And send it on its way. And then when I have the money, I'll repay this bit of the loan. Yeah, I think this is probably a better way of going. I think there's enough passengers from Batbourne to sustain it. Although I can't help but notice Batbourne is now smaller in size since I've been in town. Oh, it's just grown a bit. But yeah, look there, we're up to the higher amount. I think this was probably the right way to go. What you have to think about this early on in the game is the infrastructure costs are so high. The cost to run stuff, the maintenance, it's so high that once you've laid a line down, you really want to eke all that you can out of it. And yeah, there we go. That's our best quarter to date. So I think this is probably the way to go with it. Yeah, happy with that. So now thinking about the next route, because I think 4 on here would be overkill, particularly with sledding well being as small as it is. Although again, the town is growing every 200 days, and actually Batbourne, yeah, is growing every 100 days. It is bigger now, so that's good for us. So we've got about 35,000 at the moment. Yeah, actually, I think that will do for this episode. So we've made an initial start with horse, with horse, of course. Come back and we'll see if we can do anything with ships. All right, thanks for watching and take care.